Now, despite its vast oil reserves, Nigeria has continued to struggle with the persistent challenge of fuel scarcity, a crisis that has plagued its downstream petroleum sector for decades, leading to frequent shortages and long queues at filling stations across the country. At the heart of this problem lies issues of refineries, which are operating well below their installed capacity, some not even functioning at all. I think today's appearance is the focus will be on the recent scarcity witnessed in the country. The idea really is to educate the public on what usually causes scarcity, the supply chain management in the downstream sector. What brings about disruptions in the supply chain and impact of such disruptions, and why should we focus, or why we should also focus on the efforts of the NNPCL? What's happening around all of this? Let's get talking, and I'm being joined by the Executive Director, Center for Sustainable Mobility and Development, and is also a former Commissioner, Transportation in Lagos State and also in the FCT, Dr. Kayode Opeifa. Good afternoon. It's good to start the week with you on the show.
For me, it's good morning.
It's good morning.
Yeah.
By the way,
for me, it's always
morning.
Always in the morning.
Thank you so much, really, for being here. I think there's been lots of back and forth with regards to fuel scarcity and what we've seen in recent times. But in your understanding of logistics and all of this, what really do you think is the cause of this disruption? The last one, NNPC says there was a thunderstorm. They couldn't discharge from mother vessel to daughter vessel at the depots. I don't know. What really do you understand is the challenge at this time?
Yeah, thank you very much. First, let me say that we need to first go back in memory to understand the situation. We used to have queues whenever we have any disruption. The guidelines work. I will get to what may cause or are causing this disruption. We used to have queues for like sometimes 1 month, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, sometimes 2 months. Right now, we've gotten to a stage that we have a better understanding of the situation, and the queues are getting shorter, even though people's lives have been disrupted, businesses have been affected. But the situation is, the negative side of the situation is getting to some level of improvement. Now, when you talk of fuel scarcity, what could cause it, before I get to the current one, you need to understand that we have low or lack of refining capacity.
Yes.
And that was the reason why you had the PIA law, to encourage people to get into this business. The past government gave a lot of licenses. That's the Jonathan government, gave a lot of licenses for people to do modular refinery. Thank God during the Buhari administration, about 4 or 5 of them were able to get it completed. But it's just funny that none of them is producing PMS. So that tells you that PMS is a special product.
DPK and
yeah, that's kerosene, Jet A1, AGO, diesel. Then you have naphtha. You have all these other byproducts. Okay. Then you also have a lot of series of products. This is because of the distillation processes and the complexity of production. Yes. PMA requires much more refining exercise to get the quality you have, and that's why you have different grades too after adding some additives. So that is one. But very soon, by the grace of God, probably by August, Dangote will come into the PMS market. Then once you have your local capacity improved, then you know you solve the supply side. So another issue that causes that is the supply side. And when you get to the supply side, is the product, if you import it, is it available? If the product is available, then the next problem is how many people are importing. Now, currently, because of the exchange rate and the availability of Forex, only one person probably has the capacity, not that he wants to. That's NNPCL, is importing. So what you have is one person. So by the time you have Dangote in, if you leave Dangote alone, it becomes one person again. Then the problem of monopoly also comes in. So these are all issues that could cause disruptions. Because if that person that is solely bringing the supply has an issue, which are normal to have issues in business, everybody offers. Then the other issue now face is the depot. I mean the infrastructure.
Yes.
Infrastructure network. Do we have pipelines? Yeah, we do. Over 4,000 kilometers. Are they working? No. Why? No. They were vandalized. NNPC or whichever part of the, is it a storage production company, whatever, they keep fixing it. But some people keep vandalizing. We used to protect the pipeline, security people. So you also have that as an issue that could cause. So when these issues come, they will all come under that simple name, logistics and supply chain issue. Then you also have the issue of mother to mother, father to father, mother to daughter. No, that is what when the product comes in. That's on the IC. That's called the marine side of it.
Yes.
You have Navy, you have MPA, you have the MASA. You have so many agencies that will clear before it comes out. So there could also be a logistics issue within that, or management issues. Somebody has not signed, the product cannot come. Or when the product comes on the IC, you need to get them to the road because the pipelines are not working. And that's why you have those depots. So to get them, you now need the daughter vessel to lighter it. Because if it comes, let's say it comes in 100 million liters, and you have to go to it, you have to discharge somewhere, and the draft cannot go low. You know, the ocean has a draft. We've experienced it before. I don't want to go into that. So you now have to lighter them so that the vessels cannot get to the different depots. Then there is a lag time between that too. Then there's also cost changes. From the beginning of Ukraine war, the daughter vessels became scarce. It might interest you to know before Ukraine war, it used to be about $25,000 to get a daughter vessel per day. It went to $40,000. Now your land is about $70,000 or $80,000. So that is the capital intensity of the business too is also dredging. So when you see this industry increasing, all these are what the PIA, modular refinery and the rest are expected to. So you also have the other side of it is the communication. When you have these issues, how do we communicate?
Yeah, very important.
How do we tell people? I must tell you, I'm a critic of the NNPC and the former prior to the PIA, the DPR, PPR, the way they manage communication, but that has also improved. Now, you see government agency telling you that this is the problem. Yeah. He said Thunder. That came early enough for people to know. Yes. There is a disruption. However, the other side of the communication is the other side. When it now comes out and tell that there's disruption, but we have enough supply. Do you believe that statement? You don't. So people start rushing. And once you start to rush to get the product, to make a foothold, then market forces will come in. Demand and supply. When they see that you are all rushing, the prices will go up. When the prices go up, who is supposed to control? The regulators. Do you know who is supposed to do it in this case? FCCPC. Do they have the capacity to manage that sector? So these are some of the issues that normally cause. But no, let's now come to specifics. Now let's say it is supply.
Yes.
And they're able to bring in the product. How do you get the product out? Then the logistics become an issue. How do you distribute 50 million liters of a product from Lagos? Because it's going to come as imported product. Lagos or Gara in Delta or Calabar or Port Harcourt. That's where you can come through the sea. How do you get them onto land? Then the road issue, the road infrastructure. Are they good enough? Can they make the trip in one day? What about those disturbing them on the road? So even when it is announced that there is a disruption, and these are the solutions we want to, it is the one you can control that you control. So you can't control the security forces, you can't control the structure of the road, you can't control the good boys, you can't control. So arbitrage will now come in. Now, it now comes to the other issue. If there is a disruption in our system and our supply was depleted for one day, it will take time to get. And in the process of getting that done, outside Nigeria, people are selling fuel like twice our prices.
Yes.
So what you see is that it now brings the issue of arbitrage. People are now encouraged to take the few that we are pushing, struggling to get from the system, that the people that are concerned are pushing, people will now start taking them. As I went to point of no return sometimes 2 years ago. And while I was trekking, I saw people on bike with kegs and the rest. And that was the time we just changed. I think that was shortly after subsidy was gone story. And I said, so people still smuggle that once you have 250 naira difference between the cost of
it's attractive
pump price in Nigeria and over there, it becomes because at least they will make 50 naira after settling all those things. So that is also another issue. So even if you in the logistics we say okay, double wet the floor. That's the language we use. Wet the town, wet the roads. Even when you wet the roads, you can't estimate the impact it will have immediately. Because a lot of people are also siphoning, some are keeping, some are, all sort of place. So it also comes to ourselves too. So these are so many other issues. Then when you now come to the port to land, is an issue. When it comes to mother to daughter vessels, do you know those vessels are not even readily available?
Yeah.
Since the Russian embargo, the Russian oil magnates, instead of renting those things, they started buying it. That's what they now use to transport to all these their underground transportation. So the issue for us in Nigeria is we need to improve on many of those things that causes that. Even if we have enough and there is a disruption,
so clearly
it should not disturb us.
Usually not the fault of the NNPCL in some cases.
Now, when I look at the topic of our discussion, I saw something like challenges. I don't see challenge anymore. I see opportunities. Wow. And I see hope in whatever is going on. So, and I don't pass blame. But if I'm to be sincere, I don't want to glorify anybody. But we must commend those who are managing these things. I was involved as a commissioner in Lagos. We were on the other side. And whenever there is fuel, we keep telling the people at that time, please tell us the truth. Don't say there is fuel in Lagos when there is no fuel. That creates gridlock. That was the time they couldn't move fuel out of Apapa. We have to do so many things, engagement before we could move fuel out. Now, in the current situation, what you have is the managers are doing better than them. They are doing everything possible to make adequate supply when there is a disruption. The communication is better. So you will want to say, who do you blame? Really? If anybody should carry blame, it is all of us. But when I say all of us, let me first say that so that it doesn't look like you are exonerated. But however, for NNPC, NMDPRA, those are what was the third one?
NUPRC.
Those are the people.
Yes,
and then,
under the PIA.
I would say the NNPC does not carry the blame. Neither do the NMDPRA carries the blame in this regard, because they came out, told us openly,
the issues are.
Clearly we have issues. It's going to take a week. And after that week, if you now see scarcity beyond management, yes, you blame them. In this case, I monitor this. Within the period they say the thing will go down, it went down. Not completely. You know why it will not be completely? I passed through Lagos today, what's that, Ogudu Road.
Yeah.
I saw an NPC on my right and a Hayden on the other side. In front of a Hayden, I didn't see any vehicle much there. On the NPC side, I saw a lot of vehicles. So I wanted to ask, is there fuel scarcity? No, it's because of the price. And that's the reality now. Because the sector is deregulated, people are free to sell at different prices. So I won't blame an NPC on this case. I think they've even gone too far. They've gone beyond what is their code. That's why somebody referred to an NPC as being possibly the regulator also. You
know, that argument came up. Are they a regulator in a market where they are also operating? But I know that NNPC, I think it's just PMS. They're not even bringing in DBK. I think that
NNPC is not. I think those ones are deregulated.
Yes, they're deregulated,
including Jet A1. But the reason why the PIA listed NNPC as a provider of last resort, and it's also NNPCL. Also as part of its mandate for energy security. Now, if you talk of energy security, it includes the mix.
Yes.
It includes whatever you need to do to make sure the thing is available. We've had this argument at many stakeholders forum among with stakeholders that what do we do? Then the PIA also says nobody should control the pricing.
Yes.
It only mandated mandates the FCCPC to be the one to monitor price gouging and the rest. And when you have all those things, that means if everybody works together, you may see a better situation. Definitely you will see a better situation. But what you have in this case, you also have stakeholders who are also taking the opportunity to profiteer. There is arbitrage, there is, I don't like using the word, there is sabotage, and there is also people with passion doing the job well. But definitely in this case, they said it is environmental, that is a thunderstorm. I've never heard that before, that could affect, but after hearing that when it sparks, it's volatile. 2, they also mentioned flooding. Not even tankers. When it floods, I think 2 years ago, where people can, so we don't know which part of the country is flooded. Then the one that I want people to also bear in mind is that it will take time. If you see queue in Lagos, then there is queue in Nigeria, all over Nigeria. When the queue in Lagos starts disappearing, that means the queue other places too are disappearing. But they will not disappear at the same time because the product is closer to Lagos than anywhere. Then 2, the managers of the logistics and supply chain. The supply chain is on private sector now. Those are the retailers, the retailers, the marketers. These are not NNPC.
Yes.
They are not government.
Yes.
These are individuals doing their business. Now, when they get this product, they will pass through Lagos. They will wet Abuja first. Between Lagos State, Federal Capital Territory, I think it's Rivers State and possibly Kano, you have over 40% of the entire consumptions going off. So you want to first of all take care of those centers, because when you take care of those centers, because that's where you have over one third of Nigerian vehicles, over 1/3 of Nigerian generators. So when you take care of those sectors, then you now have to face the other states. Not that you then have to, you then put more concentration on other states. So when people say, the queue is still there, I'm still seeing queue in, I don't want to mention any location. In my area, I don't say Lagos, it will take more time than getting to you than off Lagos. And I think people also don't know that people in Lagos get their fuel from, is it Ejibo?
Yeah,
because the pipeline still works up to Ejibo. There was a time in 2016, I was consulting for NNPC and the Minister of Petroleum. And the petrol tanker driver said, if they can pump to Ibadan. At that time, the Ibadan pipeline has been improved. You know, by the time they were able to pump to Ibadan with some losses, the queue in Lagos started disappearing at a much faster rate. Because the people coming from Oyo, Osun, Kwara, and the rest don't need to come to Lagos. And later they attempted to pump to Ilorin, but they couldn't get to Ilorin. Now, that also brings us to the other infrastructure, the depot. If you have depot, even if you fix the depot, now how would they get the feedstock? They still have to go by roads. Then when people now come and say, why are you moving petrol by truck? Which other way do you want to move it? Is it by train? Our train doesn't cross across all the... you can't move train from Lagos to Abuja, for example. You can only get as far as Ilorin, Jeba. Then you can go from Port Harcourt, not even worry. You can get as far as Itakpe or whatever, or Lokoja. You still can't get to Abuja. So whether we like it or not, we still have to move a lot of, and in fact, in the whole world, they move by pipelines. We used to do that, but it has changed. So the destruction of the pipeline on itself is a major issue. Why we're having queues, and we need to understand it. As long as the pipelines are not fully operated, as long as we keep destroying them, we are also contributing indirectly to this scarcity. So what do I say? I see opportunity.
Yes, solutions now. The solutions, as we continue to try to implement, because I'm looking at the end product of this PIA, what we expect, attract investments and all of that. As we continue to implement all of this, now, what are the quick wins for some of these challenges that we've highlighted in this discussion?
The first thing is to ensure that the PIA works, and it works in full. That is, I had always been against food deregulation. I've always been in support of a subsidy to some extent, but I have since moved along. And since the PIA came in 2021, there has been, you see the level at which the, what do you call them, the modular refiners are, I understand BUA is also coming up.
Yeah, I heard that
now,
too.
By the time we can have other providers for PMS other than NNPC, the last provider of of sort as we have now, you will see that, I mean, by the time we diversify supply through this what do you call them, these new refineries, or even if people can afford to get their foreign exchange and bring in this well or whatever, by the time we diversify, which the PIA will afford us. So the first thing is full deregulation of that sector, that is allow the PIA to work. We now have two regulators, NMGPRA, we have NUPRC, who can manage both downstream, mainstream, and then the upstream. Then we have the FCCP, which is now being better strengthened, the new manager. The former guy did fantastic work. And we're having another fantastic guy in, I think is it Mr. Tunji Bello is coming. So upon his approval. So I think if we strengthen those agencies, then they can manage the issue of pricing arising from competition. The next thing is the issue of stakeholder collaboration. We need to make sure that the stakeholders don't speak haphazardly. The last crisis we had, and this one, the last shortage, the confusion is from some of the stakeholders. When the regulator says you have 1.3 billion or whatever liters that can last you 30 days, they say they can't see. You can't see it because it's on the sea. That's where we store. We can't store on the road. We can't use tanker to carry from Lagos and go and store in Suleja. Except you do siding. When you do siding, the tanker is no longer available. That is, you keep the thing in You do that only when there is a continuous shortage. So they're going to keep many of these things at the depot, which is by the Atlantic Ocean or whatever, where you have these oil depots. Now, if they keep saying the thing is going to take 10 years, we are not getting product, we should get product, they are not. The more important thing is for them to sit down and understand the situation and not be taking marketing and profit advantage. That's another thing we also have to. Then we have to improve on the infrastructure. The private sector, with this PI issue coming, NNPC can concession the existing pipelines for people or the corridor for people to lay other pipelines, and then they can also concession the depot, the inland depots, the ones in Suleja, Ilorin, Ejigbo, or is it Ore, and as you start going up north, Kaduna, Kano, and the rest. If we do that, then the other one is the investment in human capacity. We need to invest in people to manage this kind of situation. We are getting to a point 650 billion barrels per day. Goa is coming maybe 350. We currently have a 27,000 barrels per day capacity from the existing modular refinery. About 10 or so, they said, are still coming up. So we need to develop human capacity, and especially in the transport system. Our transport system, as of today, is not well equipped to manage some of these issues. But I must confess to you, there's an improvement, and we must commend all the stakeholders along that corridor. What we now need, again, is effective communication. When something is wrong, you remember when we had that dirty fuel? I had the opportunity to get involved again. The moment the thing came out, everybody was panicking, and the whole country was in disarray. The president says they will probe, National Assembly will probe. NNPC came out and said, we have a problem with one of our importers. There is a dirty fuel, so million liters. We have evacuated it, and now we are doing reform. People don't understand that is a worse situation. That's back logistics. To take a product from where it is and put another one there, and then go and do blending, and then bring it back, and that ordinarily will not take less than 30 days. But people are so panicked, everybody was rushing, people were rushing. So even if we had all relaxed, take those things, ask the chemists to explain the situation, ask the marketing people to explain, ask the logistics people, get the right people in position. So we need to invest in human capacity. Then another thing I want us to also, we need to be transparent and accountable. If we are using 50 billion liters, let's use 50. Then our security people should monitor and that this thing doesn't get out. There is no point supplying to the extent that you now supply more than the nation needs, and then our resources are being put to make supply. And the thing is, when they were saying 80 million liters, I'm among those who say we don't use more than 40 million liters. But the truth of the matter is, as we are putting 40 million liters, 20 disappears, what happens? Then you don't have enough. You're going to have shortage. Sure. So those who are also benefiting from the arbitrage, there is a need to also work in that. So there is much more we could do. The PIA has given us a window, and we should take advantage of the Petroleum Industrial Act.
Dr. Kayode Opeifa, I must thank you so much. It's really interesting starting the week with you, Executive Director, Center for Sustainable Mobility and Development, former Commissioner of Transport, Lagos, and the FCT. Thank you so much for shedding light on all of these issues. Have a great week.
Thank you very much.